Okay, so part five to this demonstration, I just worked just part four. I just quickly went over adding values and things to the face. Now I'm getting into a situation where I am adding more details to the face and things. So I want to go over for all of you what my process is really like at this point. And right now, this is kind of where I am in comparison to from the still image that's the image underneath to my master copy that's above. I still have a lot to work out in this background here. There's still a lot of things to work on in this table as well, these small little highlights and things, but ultimately right now, the areas where I really want to focus some detail on is this face, just as far as purpose for this demonstration here. So I'm going to keep both of these things on screen, and I'm actually going to quickly make a copy of the bottom layer, this image here of Samuel L. Jackson's face, because I'm actually going to bring this above to work simultaneously right next to what I'm doing here. So I'm just making a quick copy and paste. I'm going to bring this up as reference, and this is going to be similar to how all of you would work if you had your image right next to what you're doing. You're kind of keeping those things really close to each other. So let me bring this up just a tad so we can kind of see these things at the same time, and we'll see how close I'm getting here. So now that I'm on this layer, I have the image right next to the face, and I'm just trying to make this a little bit more accurate, right? So I'm trying to learn how the light is hitting this character's face, and I'm just eye dropping some color things in here, and there's really harsh light under this character's eye and on their cheek and sort of a little bit of their forehead and things too. So I'm just going through and I'm just looking at this image and I'm trying my best to recreate it there, but I'm also noticing some things that I did a little bit differently. So there's some little bit of hiccups going on here with as far as, and I'll show you all of you this on screen, as far as the angle of this character's face in this master copy right now. So the angle here, if I go to this layer, the angle compared to what I'm doing, it's a little bit different. So this is also to the as the these things are subtly off, but also the space between. I'll go to this image here. The space between the shoulder and then where the hair sort of lines up. My copy here, there's quite a bit more space actually, and the angle's a little bit different. So if you compare those two things, they're quite a bit different. But one of the biggest things about creating a master copy, one of the most important, the value of doing this is that yes, you're trying to stay as accurate as you can, but you're also doing your best to learn from the mistakes that you're making while you're going through trying to emulate or copy the work as best you can. So I'm learning about the distances between the stuff, and these distances between the hair and the shoulder, the angle of the cheekbone, the distances between objects, which we talked about earlier about the table. I need I need to go back through and adjust a lot of different things, but for right now, I'm just focusing on this face. And what's always fun to me is when I'm looking at, and I'll get a different color here. When I'm looking at shadows, I'm kind of thinking about them as these abstracted shapes, right, that sort of come through here. And so right now, if I were to try to, recreate or draw that shadow on my masterwork, there is some things that I need to definitely try to adjust or darken up. So I'm gonna do that just based off of my image here. So I'm gonna bring this part of his sort of handlebar mustache, sort of goatee. Right now I'm gonna bring that out. I'm also gonna darken this whole area of where this lip is, because that is quite a bit darker in the image. I'm gonna darken up that, and that dark value kind of extends up into the shadow that the nose makes on the cheek here. So I'm going to extend this as well. And because of the material that I'm using in my iPad, this is going to look pretty rough and sort of more tactile. There's going to be a little more texture on the surface. Because I'm not using a smooth material, I'm using something more akin to like a crayon, just to show you all the way that these marks and things are being made. But there's also this really nice light that's hitting the cheek on this character that I don't quite have yet, so I'm going to add in some of that as well. There's also a nice sort of middle tone brown in here as well to kind of be a little bit of a mediator between these harsh values here. So I'm going to add in a little bit of this here just as I'm going through. Kind of lighten up that forehead just a little bit. See, I get it a little bit darker. The faces and things, these are quite a bit difficult, quite a bit more difficult than maybe some other areas. So I'm going to throw in some highlights in here in the hair, some different texture. And this is based off of stuff I've learned earlier this semester. I'm just kind of dabbing or sort of dotting in some of the highlights to Samuel Jackson's hair in this film, in this scene here, because there is a lot of highlights here because we have such harsh light, right? So I'm just kind of adding that stuff in as texture, and then I'm moving around. I don't want to stay there too long. I'm going to keep adding these darker values and things and adjusting the side of this face as much as I feel necessary until I'm ready to sort of move on. But something that's bothering me right now in my master copy is I have so much light value, like right in here for some reason. And also I need to get a better sort of jawline here for this character, and I need to figure out and resolve this neck area as well so I can see a better distinction between those two things. So it looks like right now something that I'm noticing is the space or the distance of the neck until the hair, and then this whole back section of that couch. So I'm just going to have that highlighted and see if I'm doing this, in a similar way. That looks pretty close, pretty good there. So that quick angle here actually does look okay. Another thing that I'm noticing too is that the neck on on the image that I'm using is actually a little bit lighter than even my master copy. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to lighten that up a little bit. Also have the sort of facial hair here on Samuel Jackson's character. I'm going to go in there and darken that up just a tad. And because of the quality of the image, I know that there's an ear in here, but it's a little hard to tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little adjustment here. It's sort of this is where your artistic license comes in handy, and if you know anatomy at all, his ear would probably be, it should be, his earlobe should be just a tad bit lower than the bottom of where his eye would line up. So the top of our ears typically align with our eyes in that way if we're looking at something straight on. But I'll kind of just put some darker value there just to kind of signify an ear that might be occurring there. But I'm also going to focus in on this highlighted area. All of you can kind of see right in here. There's some highlights happening in there. So I'm going to go over this and highlight, put some more lighter area there in the chin, and the jaw there. Other things too, like there are some real subtle things happening in the lips of this character, so I'm going to go in and throw in a little bit darker marks and things to kind of help amplify the characteristics of this person here. So right now, let's see, I'm going to get this layer, I'm just going to hide that. Right now, I mean, that's looking so close as far as me feeling finished on that face. I need to adjust that neck and things a little bit more, but there is still a lot of work to do here. So as you continue forward, everybody, be kind to yourself while you're in this process. Take your time with both of your master copies for this project, and keep in mind all the things that you're learning through all these little adjustments. But focus in on the details in the later part of your work. I just wanted to speed this process up for all of you while you're working right now, because you could spend lots of time on these details of these cups and plates and these highlights and things, and you can kind of see, quickly if I were to, come up here, you could spend a lot of time in these details, and you can kind of get lost in this stuff, and before you know it, you are going to have your cups and all of the detail. It's all going to be there, but you have to allow yourself to have that time. So I'm going to keep working on this, folks. And, if you have any questions, please let us know.